Hello, my kosher friends. Welcome. Today we're going to be making for you my version of Singapore Chow Mei Fun. Those are curried noodles with vegetables and eggs. Often there's meat. We're going to be using a marinated tofu. This tofu is marinated in soy, spring onion, garlic, salt and pepper. There we go. I just blanked for half a second on that. We've got some Napa cabbage there. So this is a Napa cabbage, if you're unfamiliar. This portion is that stalk section. This portion are the leaves. They're going to go into two different times. Stalks are going to go in with all the things that'll take a little bit longer to cook so we can get them broken down a little, but we still want to crunch. Leaves go in at the end because they are just going to wilt right down. We've got some celery in there. Now this is frozen celery. We had an abundance of it last month. Sliced up what we didn't use, and we're pulling it out and using it. Normally I'd use fresh, a little bit of a different cut than there, but that's going to be delicious. We have over here, 1/4 cup of onion. We've got about a tablespoon of garlic, equal amount of ginger. These are both minced up. I do not peel my ginger. I just wash it and leave the skin on. If you can't see it right there, we have about a 1/4 cup of jalapeno. That is, for Texas, a small jalapeno. This is about a 1/2 cup of red sweet pepper. This is a very untraditional one. This is calabaza squash. I've got some that I've got to use up. So I decided to slice it up like this to throw it in. What am I missing here? Scallions. So we're using the white part up to the light green section to cook. We start with that. We've got some nice long bias cut scallion sections for putting on top for garnish. And we've got vindaloo curry powder right there. That's what's giving us our flavor. I have more on the side if I find as I'm tasting that I'm going to need it. A little bit of salt. We've got some white pepper. The last time we had white pepper out here, we forgot to put it in. It's actually going to go into our eggs. So we're going to get a little bit of it in there, just to give it a little bit of a boost. We're going to put just a pinch of salt in the eggs also, give it a little bit of a boost. And we're going to give that just a quick little beating, just to get us all set. And then the final thing that you will be seeing in this dish, these are vermicelli noodles. Now you can use rice vermicelli noodles. These happen to be mung bean vermicelli noodles. So they're going to be a lot lower in carbs, but they are super long. So you have to cut them. And we're doing it the classic way. So you're just going to come in, you're going to give them a little bit of a trim, and you're going to have to pick up a couple of batches of it. You just want it so that they're reasonable to eat. If you don't cut these, you will sit there slurping forever. Fun, but not helpful when you're hungry. So we're going to get those cuts in here. It's the only thing I haven't done. Now with these noodles, you do not boil them first. You soak them in hot water. Different packages say different times. The package for this said 3 to 5 minutes. They ended up going for about 20. Most rice vermicelli go longer. But it is your call in terms of what you like, what you want to use. See, super long, super long. I'll give that just a little more of a trim here. And, there's always more. There's always more. It's like when we clean up after our dogs. Oh, I think I got all the toys off the floor. No, there's another over there. All right, I think we're good with that. So I'm going to take the camera from Becca. She is going to zoop around here. And the first thing we're going to be doing is the egg. Now, the reason we start the egg first, we're going to take it back out of the pan, and we're going to be chopping it up to go in right at the end. So I'm going to move this over here. And with our wok, we always start with some oil just to get it tempered. I've got the heat up. This has been heating for a while. We're probably going to smoke immediately. Run it around the rim. Try to make sure we get this all covered. And I can smell this oil and why we don't cook with it. And this is just seasoning. That first batch of oil is literally just to get in there, get into the pores of the pan. We have a bowl we keep on the side here that we dump the oil in. We do not use this oil, but obviously you can't just throw it out. You certainly don't put it down the drain. I think I heard a little poof. I think I spilled some oil on the pan as I went there. And I'm gonna give it a quick run with this towel just to pick up that stuff. Come back over here. Don't burn your fingers doing this. Should use tongs for that. So, because that is hot even after you let it go. Now we are gonna let that smoke come down here. Now we're going to put some oil. This is what I refer to as a stupid amount of oil, but this is what we want to be able to cook our egg. No smoking, and egg is going to go super quick. We'll get it right in there. Now this is just 2 eggs today because of the amount I'm making. If we were doing a bigger batch, I'd be doing more. And we just fold. We're going to let it set for a second. I was rushing that a hair. But when you do an egg in a wok this way, you're always about pushing and folding, pushing and folding. You let everything come over. And we're going to do this a little more. If you saw the video we did for Chinese tomato and eggs, we had it a little bit under at that point. I'm going to flip this. This one I want a little bit more cooked because we're going to put it on the board. We're going to slice it up into thin ribbons and throw it in towards the end of the cooking for this dish. And that's good. Slide the onions over, put it right there. Get it on there. All right, now come back over. And first thing that goes in is the scallion. And part of our vindaloo seasoning. Now that was probably about 1.5 tablespoons I had on that plate. Could use more or less. I love the aroma of vindaloo. Now I'm going to throw these onions in. I should just bring the board over. That would be the smart move. There we go. For those of you joining us the first time, we are unrehearsed. We know the recipe and we come in and just rock it. I make this for dinner probably once a month or so. To be honest, when I make it just for us, I can get this together 15-20 minutes. When I make it for a video, it takes me about 1.5 hours because I'm cleaning the kitchen too. I actually want to throw a little bit more oil in there. Give me 1 second because I can see that the spices soaked up some of that. Part of why I put the spices in early is because it blooms in the oil. It really brings out its flavor. Okay, now I am going to put in our ginger and garlic. They always go in together in this dish for me. If you don't like ginger, you don't like garlic, leave it out. Nobody cares. It's personal choice. One of the things I like about this dish is that you can customize it however you want to. Today we're throwing in a lot of things that we just had in the fridge. There's a classic way to do it, but this is a fun recipe at the end of the day. These onions are really nicely done. I'm getting just a hint of aroma from the garlic and onions. So now I'm going to go in with the jalapeno. Now, when you cook jalapeno, to me, it milds it out. So if you have a really spicy jalapeno, I always feel like it's going to cook down a little bit, get a little bit milder as it cooks. Sometimes I'm wrong with that. It's super spicy. And we will probably get a cough out of either me or Becca at any second. It always happens when you cook chilies. Next, excuse me, there we go. I'm actually going to throw in the bok choy stems, the celery, and we'll do the red peppers in just a minute. I'm going to let these go. Do their thing for a minute here, because these bok choy stems really need to get some heat and cook down a little bit. If you notice the peppers, I sliced extremely thinly. And part of the reason why is we have such thin noodles. You don't want to get a big chunk of something. I make an exception when we talk about the proteins that go in, because you can always have that. Let's get the peppers in now. And we'll give those a minute to get the flavor. Come on. Now, the vindaloo seasoning does not have salt. I'm going to add a little bit of salt right here, which I should have done with the onions. They're a little out of sequence. And give that a stir. And if you've never used a wok before, this spatula is specifically made for a wok because of the curvature on the end. It's designed for you to get in, reach around, pull things out. Standard spatula does not do a good job of it. So we're going to let that go for just another minute. Because the celery was frozen, it's actually going to cook down a little bit more quickly. It's going to exude more liquid quickly than it would if it was fresh. Let's get our squash in there. Now I'm going to tell you, I bought this board because I thought, oh, there's little divots for keeping your ingredients would be helpful. As you see, I have a really hard time getting the ingredients out of there. So that is something we will be rethinking in the future. I'm going to pop this heat up just a little bit more. I was running on 6 over here. I'm putting it up to 7. And my electric burners do not go up to 11. So that's not an issue. Okay. We're going to let this go for a quick second here. We're going to give it a chance to cook a little bit, and then we're going to taste. And then we'll see about adding more vindaloo seasoning to it. I like it extremely spicy. Becca does not like it quite as spicy. I try to find a happy medium. So, watch out. I'm going to flip. There we go. And pull things down from the edge. Every time we do that flip, it just releases that vindaloo aroma into the kitchen. Now, you can use any curry powder you like. You can make it as spicy or not spicy as you like. It does want some curry powder, and there are mild curries out there. Vindaloo happens to be a spicier one. So, And Becca will attest to the fact that I go places and ask for everything super spicy, and people are shocked when I don't send it back, or I'm not sitting at the table crying. So
it's true.
Got the tofu in hand. I haven't tasted this yet. All right. I'm just going to give it a hair more. So, again, we started with about 1.5 tablespoons. That is probably teaspoonish that's left there. So, and tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So I probably use 4 teaspoons worth of the vindaloo seasoning at this point. The salt is on the money though. It does not need any more salt. Let's get... Well, that's the tofu going in faster than I expected. So we've got our tofu in there. I'm going to let it sit on top for a second while everything's still doing its thing underneath. And I'm going to get some more. Excuse me, sorry. Alright, yeah. Whoa! You may have heard on previous videos, I am better at tossing in the wok than I am at using the spatula. So, when you use the spatula, my food goes everywhere. Now this tofu, obviously tofu is a product that you can eat raw, so we're just wanting to get this warm. Now while that is doing its thing, I'm going to slice up the egg. So, a little more oily than I usually have it, and then give that just a pat. Now we want ribbons, so we're going to come in like this, and we're going to cut them in thirds. Thirds or halves the other direction. We'll take a look at it in a second. Some of them are fine. Yeah, thirds. So that we get nice bite-sized chunks. I have a little bit longer over there. So those are more or less even. Again, the idea is that we're going to get lots of bites of that throughout the dish. I'm coming back over to here. All right. Gorgeous. Smells amazing. And this is the point when our noodles join the party. Now, after the noodles go in and we mix them in, we taste one more time to make sure we've got enough of the vindaloo seasoning in there. And We'll also check to see if the salt level is sufficient once those go in. And the other reason you slice them up is because if you don't, it is so hard to get the ingredients mixed into them. And I probably could have sliced them a little bit smaller still, because we are getting a little tied up here. I feel like Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park. This is the essence of stir fry. All right, let's get a little taste. Never taste it when you cook in the utensil. Super hot. Perfect. What do you think? A little more vindaloo?
A little more vindaloo.
Yeah. It needs all the vindaloo. Ooh. All right. Well, that little piece of scallion will go into. Oh, those couple of pieces of scallion will go into. Get in there. Ooh, and we're going to turn the heat down. Some of the food has already plated itself. So let's get our napa leaves in there. So let's get our egg in there. I always try to use the back of my knife. I also don't want to go through those divots. Let's just do this one divot here. And the idea is to just get this mixed all the way through. So again, you want a bite of everything every time you taste it. So we want these beets to wilt and then turn off the heat now. Just let the residual heat do its thing. Again, if you're playing along for the first time, this is a carbon steel wok. So classic for stir fries. I'm actually coming off the heat, making a little space. Now, you can add some cooking wine with this. Shaoxing cooking wine would be fine in here if you can find a kosher one. I don't know where one is. I often would add a little bit of sherry into this. I'm choosing not to. Two reasons. One, don't think it needs it. That's a personal choice thing to add it or not. And I'm also dealing with antibiotics today because I had a violent ear infection last week. So let's go ahead and do some plating. And I was keeping that bowl near the other burner to, keep it warm. Forgot to rotate it. That one side was deadly. All right, let's get this out here and then we'll put some on a small plate. I think I just dropped some on Becca's foot. Sorry about that. As always, my plating is not pretty, but my food is delicious. So, this pan's going to need a scrub. Now with carbon steel, you do not want to use soap unless you're absolutely forced to. You just want to scrub it out. And, to me that's very pretty. We're going to grab a plate and set up a portion. I'm going to get my shoulder in the shot, apparently. Oh, hands like butter and a brain to match. Let's go. Here we are. That is a healthy portion. That is a big boy portion. Okay. And that is a very small plate to put it on. And we'll get a little bit of scallion on top. And now that we're not cooking with them anymore, I'm actually just going to put this here for you guys to look at. I'm going to take my sample out of here. Here we go back up. What you can't see on the screen was I landed noodles all over her chin. But chin noodles are the best noodles. That is so good. That is so tasty. Let me get this into a little bit better light for you. Our version of Singapore Chow Mei Fun. You can modify it however you want. Use eggs, don't use egg, use vegan eggs. You can use tofu. If you're eating meat, you can put chicken or beef or lamb into this. All your call. But we hope you enjoyed watching us do this. We're going to enjoy eating it. And I'm looking forward to talking to you next time. Take care.